You guys ever notice that when you're out on the trails hitting some pretty challenging obstacles and then notice only one of the front tires is spinning and only one of the back tires is spinning? I mean, obviously the vehicle is in four-wheel drive, so how come all four tires aren't spinning? What's the point of even having four-wheel drive then, right? Now, you can go ahead and jump on our website at TrailBuilt and grab yourself some pretty aggressive tires, and that's definitely gonna help you get some much needed traction, but it's still not gonna fix the problem of having only two out of your four tires doing all the work. So what is it exactly that we have going on here? Well, it's pretty simple actually, and it all starts within the axle's differential, which houses the ring and pinion gears, and then the ring and pinion gears rotate the axle shafts that are connected to the wheels and tires. The reason that all four tires don't spin all the time is because the tires have to rotate at different speeds while cornering, hence the name differential. Inside the differential housing is your pinion gear, and when you hit the gas, the engine sends power through the transmission, through the transfer case, then spins the drive shaft, which then spins the pinion gear, and the pinion gear then rotates the ring gear, which is attached to what's called a differential carrier, and inside of the differential carrier is a set of spider gears, and the spider gears are what rotate the axle shafts. If it's an open differential, it means that there isn't any kind of added traction device installed inside the differential carrier, and the spider gears will spin freely of each other, allowing the axle shafts to rotate at different speeds, which in turning allows the tires to rotate at different speeds. Open differentials are much more common in the front axle than in the rear axle, and the most common traction aid is going to be a limited slip, or LSD, or as some people still refer to them as a positive traction, also known as a posi. The limited slip is inside the differential carrier and is attached to the spider gears, and in between the spider gears and the differential carrier are little clutch plates. When power is applied to it, the friction from the clutch plates force both the left and right side axle shafts to spin together simultaneously, and once the power is reduced, like in cornering, the clutch plates will disengage and allow the spider gears to spin freely from each other. The easiest way to check and see if you have a limited slip differential is to jack up your vehicle so that the tires are off the ground, have the transmission in neutral, grab one of the tires and start spinning it. If the opposite side tire rotates in the same direction, then you have a limited slip. If it rotates in the opposite direction, then it's an open diff. That's a shortcut way of checking, but you can also try and read the axle code that's imprinted on either side of the rear diff cover or the axle housing itself, and then you can cross-reference that code on Google to find out exactly what it is. Nowadays, or even over the past 30 years or so, many manufacturers have been installing a number of different kinds of traction aid systems on their vehicles, specifically to prevent four-wheel drive vehicles from becoming just two-wheel drive while off-roading. Nowadays, or even over the past 30 years or so, many manufacturers have been installing a number of different kinds of traction aid systems on their vehicles specifically to prevent four-wheel drive vehicles becoming just two-wheel drives while off-roading. Jeep Rubicons have selectable and electronic differential lockers, along with Toyota TRDs and TRD Pros, and many other four-wheel drive vehicles out there where additional traction aids are going to be needed. Electronic lockers are activated by a switch, which then sends power to a unit inside of the differential carrier and locks both the right and left axle shafts together for 100% power to both the right and left tires. Some manufacturers will have some sort of traction control system installed that's more controlled by the computer than by the driver. For example, Toyota has what's referred to as their Active Track or A-Track system, which steps in automatically when it senses four wheels slipping as you start to accelerate on slippery roads or off-road obstacles by applying the brakes individually to the wheels with the least amount of traction in order to regain traction again at those wheels. And there are dozens of different traction systems available on many different vehicle brands and models out there, but really the question becomes, what if your vehicle has open differentials? What is the best traction modifier to install in the differential to get traction to all four tires? First, there are three things to consider. Number one, how much do you want to spend? Number two, what type of vehicle with what type of axles are you driving? And number three, how much time is spent driving on the road compared to driving off the road? If you are looking to mainly drive your four-wheel drive vehicle on the road, then on the inexpensive side of traction devices are either sourcing a used limited slip unit from a salvage yard, or you can buy one brand new depending on your budget, but that's a great way to go. If you're mechanically inclined and confident enough to install one, then these can be relatively cheap depending on the vehicle and pretty easy to install. I had purchased a used limited slip unit from a credible source a long time ago and installed it myself, which it was pretty basic to install, and it worked great for several years, and I think I had maybe 150 bucks into it and a few hours of time installing it. But if you're not comfortable with installing it yourself, then, well, a little bit of extra money will take care of that. Another pretty decent option for us budget-minded folks is what's referred to as a lunchbox locker. These are going to be more suited for those of us who hit the trails more often than the roads. Reason being is that a lunchbox locker is an automatic locker that locks both the right and left axle shafts together under power using springs that push together round plates with interlocking teeth on them. If you're driving on the pavement and you're taking a corner and go to accelerate before you're out of the corner, it will automatically lock up and make some sort of goofy nouns and clicking sounds, and is going to make your tires chirp and bark. Plus, it'll lean your body of your vehicle way over, and you could even potentially lose control of your steering, especially on slippery or wet surfaces, and overall just demands a little bit more attention when driving on the road with one of these lunchbox automatic lockers. But then again, they're relatively inexpensive and also pretty easy to install with just a little bit of common sense and mechanical knowledge. And definitely never run one of these in the front axle of a vehicle that has full-time all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive on the road, or it's not going to be pretty when it automatically engages during cornering or on slippery surfaces. Unless, of course, you have selectable lockout hubs where you can disengage the axle shafts from the hubs, but even then, I wouldn't put an automatic locking lunchbox locker in the front axle in that type of setup. For that type of situation, I'd look at selectable lockers where you can control them with a switch, and those we'll get into shortly. Detroit Lockers by Eaton, in my opinion, have some of the best automatic lockers out there. These are not categorized in the same class as lunchbox lockers because of their mechanical workings, and they are going to cost you a bit more money because, well, they're worth it. You get a longer lasting and smoother engaging automatic locker that can really hold up to some crazy abuse. And then, going up on the price list are what's referred to as selectable lockers. Selectable lockers are turned on with a switch when they're needed for the most traction possible while off-roading, and can be disengaged for when you're driving on the street to eliminate any quirkiness that auto lockers will give you. And there are three kinds of selectable lockers. You have your air actuated, electronic, and manually operated by a cable. There are a ton of debates on which one is the best to go with because, well, air lockers are very robust and can take a lot of beating and will hold up if they can hold air pressure, because there is a greater chance that there's going to be some sort of air leak somewhere. I've seen air lockers work great for switching on and off when they work, but so many different times out wheeling, I've seen them not work because of an air leak. Even just this past weekend, one of my wheeling buddies sprung an air leak in the air line due to an unexpected circumstance beyond his control, and that sucks when things like that happen. Plus, air lockers are really electric over air, meaning that you have to wire up an air compressor and pump, and depending on the duty cycle of the pump, you also have to install an air holding tank for instant pressure to the lockers. But the advantage to that is you can also run air tools and fill up your deflated tires at the end of the day before hitting the road again. With installing all the electrical lines, the air lines, fuses, relays, and switches, it can definitely become a bit technical to install these, and can really add up in cost if you have a technician install them for you. Now, electric lockers or e-lockers are more simple in design and are a bit easier to install, and also pretty expensive, but one of the debates is that they aren't as robust as an air locker and won't hold up to the constant abuse. Plus, you can't use it to run air tools or pump up your tires, but e-lockers, being that they are a bit more simplistic in both wiring and installation, means that most of us can do it ourselves and can install them, and there's less chances that they might not work due to an air leak. Yes, you could definitely catch a wire on something due to a crappy wiring install job, or a wire could wear through its coating and ground out or even cause sparks, creating a potential fire, but a really good installation job will prevent most of that from ever happening. Plus, if you're not going out and beating the crap out of your rig every time you drive it, then an e-locker is a really great way to go. Another really great alternative to air or electric is running a manually controlled locker like the Ox locker that uses a cable to engage and disengage it. Again, another pricey option, but with a manually controlled locker, there are no wires or air lines to install, no compressor or even any switches, just a cable that actuates the locker. Pull back the lever to engage it and push it forward to disengage it. Just that simple. However, it is important to install these correctly to make sure the actuator fork moves the correct distance that it needs to, plus have the cable ran properly so that it functions the right way, and that's not that it's in harm's way. But even that is all listed in the instructions to take all of the guesswork out of it for you, or at least most of the guesswork depending on your vehicle. These lockers are also known to be highly robust and able to take the abuse that air lockers can as well. Plus, Ox does make air lockers and e-lockers too, if that's what you end up deciding on. And guys, I know what you're thinking, and no, this video is not sponsored by Ox in any way, but I am a huge fan of not always having to rely on electricity or air to operate something, and think the cable actuated locker is a pretty great way to go. And again, that's just my personal opinion, but if you guys are looking to increase your traction from one front tire spinning and one back tire spinning into a true four-wheel drive vehicle, then either the limited slip, auto locker, or selectable lockers are going to be your best way to do that. Just make sure to do all of your research first on all of these different types of traction modifiers, so that way you guys will know exactly what you're getting into before spending that hard-earned money or having a bunch of unnecessary frustrations. Or if a locker isn't in your immediate future, then keep in mind a new set of tires will also do wonders out on the trails for traction. And something to keep in mind while shopping for tires on TrailBuilt is that when you package them with a set of wheels, that we will mount and balance them for you at no extra cost. Plus, if you live in any state in the lower 48, we also ship them to you for free, and that is one heck of a deal. About a few $100 in savings kind of a deal. Not to mention our different financing options to really help buying a new set of wheels and tires a lot more affordable. And guys, there's a link in the description that will bring you right over to our website. But with all of the different types of traction modifiers out there, I'd be really curious to hear back from you guys on what you currently have, what kind of vehicle you're running, and how do you like it, or don't like it if that's the case. Either way, definitely make sure and let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the little bell next to it before departing over to our website. And guys, as always, we appreciate all of you for watching and all of your support. I'm Josh from TrailBuilt, and we'll see you guys out in the trails.